Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Secretary, I agree with you. When people go into the field to do the things they do it knowing of the risk. And I agree with you. One of the untold stories here is the heroic nature of many in Libya and what they did to save lives. I met several of the JSOC folks and others that risked their lives saving others. But I also have to say, in reading all the cables and that many of us have done, there were systemic deficiencies, and I know you know that. And I'd like for you to just speak to that for a moment. To my knowledge, no one has been held accountable. Our staff had a meeting with one of the State Department officials, and I hate to use this word again, but it was nothing short of bizarre as they talked about the communications. These officials were screaming out for more security, and I'm just wondering if you might mention one reform that would be helpful so that you would have known of the needs there of security that went undone.
Well, obviously I have thought about this almost constantly since that date, Senator, because, you know, I do feel responsible. I feel responsible for the nearly 70,000 people who work for the State Department. I take it very seriously. The specific security requests pertaining to Benghazi, you know, were handled by the security professionals in the department. I didn't see those requests. They didn't come to me. I didn't approve them. I didn't deny them. That's obviously one of the findings that Ambassador Pickering and Admiral Mullen made, that, you know, these requests don't ordinarily come to the Secretary of State.
But if we could, I know I respect you tremendously, but we have a short amount of time. They did come in to folks.
That's right.
We did have SST people on the ground at no cost to the State Department. They were asked to be extended by the ambassador. Someone at the State Department turned that down. They were at no charge, 16 officers. So I just wonder what has happened inside to make sure that never happens again.
Well, several things. Not only are we on the path to implement all of the ARB recommendations, but we've gone beyond that. We did immediately do this high threat assessment using DOD assets as well as our own. That had never been done before. We have asked the Congress to help us reallocate funds. The Senate has given us that authority. We don't yet have it from the House, so that we can get more Marine Guards, we can get more diplomatic security guards, we can try to put more money into the maintenance, the upgrades, construction that's needed. I created the first ever, it sounds like it should have been done years ago, but first ever Deputy Assistant Secretary for High Threats. I'm also recommending that there be a regular process that includes the Secretary and the deputies in these decisions, because nobody wants to sit where I am and, you know, have to think now about what coulda, shoulda, woulda happened in order to avoid this. Now, as I said, we've had 19 ARBs. Only 2 have ever been unclassified. The one coming out of the East Africa bombings, where there was full transparency, there was a set of recommendations, many of which have been implemented along with recommendations from other ARBs, but this committee never had a public hearing about the 17 other ARBs because they were classified. Yeah. So we're putting into action steps that we think will help the next Secretary be able to make these decisions, be part of these decisions, have more insight into what is going on, and we would obviously welcome the opportunity to work closely with a subcommittee or a set of members to make sure that that's what's happening.
Well, thank you. I will, just many 19 or 17 have been done. I will say none of them have ever been fully implemented. And,
Senator, that's not accurate, because I heard you say that when Bill Burns and Tom Nides were here, and it shocked me. So we went back, we did a full and thorough investigation. The vast majority have been implemented, and we will give you a report to that effect, because that's the kind of, to go back to your point, Senator, if there were an authorization process, that's the kind of information that would be shared. And I see my former compatriot on the Armed Services Committee. There is always an Armed Services authorization, and there needs always to be a foreign Relations Committee authorization.
It's my sense, my last question, it's my sense that as a nation, we were woefully unprepared for what happened in Northern Africa in general. I think you share that view, and I just wonder, I know you made some opening comments regarding us leading in that area, but it seems to me that Benghazi symbolizes just the woeful unpreparedness that our nation had as it relates to issues in North Africa, and I hope you'll address that as you move ahead.
Well, Senator, let me just briefly address what is, I think, one of the key issues for this committee, for the administration, for our country. When I was here 4 years ago testifying for my confirmation, I don't think anybody thought that Mubarak would be gone, Gaddafi would be gone, Ben Ali would be gone, that we would have such revolutionary change in this region. There were hints of it. Several of us, said the institutions were sinking in the sand, as I said in Doha shortly before Tahrir Square. So there was some feeling out there, but I don't think any of us predicted this, least of all the people in these countries who then were given a chance to chart their own futures. This is a great opportunity as well as a serious threat to our country. I hope we seize the opportunity. It's not going to be easy because these new countries have no experience with democracy. They don't have any real experience among the leaders in running countries, in doing security. So, yes, we now face a spreading jihadist threat. We have driven a lot of the AQ operatives out of the Fatah, out of Afghanistan, Pakistan, killed a lot of them, including, of course, bin Laden. But we have to recognize this is a global movement. We can kill leaders, but until we help establish strong democratic institutions, until we do a better job communicating our values and building relationships, we're going to be faced with this level of instability. And I do have a lot of thoughts about what more we can and should do given this new reality we face.
Thank you again.
Senator Boxer.